Hello. Let's see. My remote. Whoop, there we go. My remote is working. Hey to the two people that are here. I don't know how many people are actually going to show up, so I don't know how long this is going to last. But thanks for showing up. I'm going to mess with the lights for a minute. And I don't know, talk a little bit about working at the video store in Portland because people seem to always ask me questions about that. So I figured I'd talk about it a little bit. Again, hello, welcome. This is my first time using this feature on YouTube as well. So that's that. Let's see here. Bring it down a little bit. There we go. Hello, Tom. Sorry, my eyes are really bad today for some reason. Let's see. What else? I hope you guys can hear me all right. I think it's using the right microphone. That's a little bright, isn't it? Sure. I like that better. I'm still not sure why it's not letting me zoom in just a tad more. So this is what we're going to do. Oh, there we go. I really thought the whole thing was just going to fall down when I did that, but it didn't, so. So let's see. This was probably about 7 years ago now, maybe a little more, that I worked at the video store in Portland. It was one of the last. It was one of the last ones in Portland, and it had 3 locations, and it now has 0 locations as far as I know. I think all of them are now closed. There still is 1, maybe 2 video rental places. One might be like a video museum that you can rent from, not necessarily like a regular store. I haven't been keeping up on this because I stay at home a lot. So I got the job because I was really desperate because I hated working at the job I was working at, which was a sandwich shop. And that was shitty. That was really bad. And it just became one of those really toxic work environments where I knew everyone and was only hanging out with people from work. And I know that's kind of normal for a lot of people, but it just doesn't really work out for me because I'm not into drama and I'm not into seeing the same people every single day and then partying with the same people. I like to keep things separate. So I was really desperate, moving into a new place, needed a new job. I was going everywhere in Portland, and I decided, feel free to ask questions or say anything down in the, not anything, say appropriate things down in the comments. But yeah, so I went into this place and I didn't really know what it was. It was half gym, like professional workout subscription, no, what do you call it? Whatever, membership gym. And then there was the video store. And I thought it was like workout videos. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to see if they'll hire me to clean the machines or whatever. And the owner happened to be there. And he gave me an interview, and it was a regular video store. And I got really excited because I remember going to video stores when I was a kid, renting stuff, going to Blockbuster, going to little independent places. I think where I grew up, it was like in Arizona, there was at least 3 or 4 little independent places where I knew everybody behind the counter, and they always saved things for me that they thought I might like, and I could dig through their CDs and VHSs and DVDs for hours. And so I was like, oh my God, I stumbled upon something amazing. Please hire me. I know so much about movies. And I may have exaggerated how much I knew about movies. I am a big pop culture person. I know I've seen a lot of films, but I just knew if I worked at a video store, I would get like really what I needed. And so, and plus I would be able to get paid and, you know, eat and pay rent, and that would be great. And so I convinced the guy to hire me because he was, you know, like, oh, do you know about movies? I was, yes, I'm enthusiastic about movies. I love recommending movies to all my friends, blah, blah, blah. All the stuff that you say during an interview, you know, you know how you hype yourself up and you, so, and then he got to the part of the interview where he was like, how do you feel about physical fitness? And I said, oh, I love working out, which was a lie. I was like, yeah, I really, you know, being healthy, working out, being a big, you know, I'm a big, you know, healthy living person, you know, trying to get my words out. I couldn't, and none of it was true. I was like probably buzzed at that moment. I can't confirm or deny it, but I was probably stoned or a little drunk at that moment in the interview, just where I was in my life. And so I was like, yeah, that's great. And he's like, do you mind signing people up for gym memberships? And that terrified me immediately. And I was just like, oh no, I can't believe that I'm going to have to give people gym memberships because they're terrible. I had friends that had worked at gyms or tried to sign up for gyms before, and they're just bad and creepy, and they trap people into things. And so into like long contracts that they do not necessarily need, and people just end up getting them and never using them, and they can't get out of them. And so I just like bit the bullet and was like, yeah, I can totally do that. And also with my ADHD and my issues with dyslexia, I was like, I don't know if I can do the contract thing, but if I get a repetitive thing going, I can probably pick it up eventually. So that was that. I gave my interview, lied about how many movies I had seen and how comfortable I was recommending films to people of all types. But I was just like, I'm going to go for it, whatever. And it ended up being a really awesome job. I mean, until it wasn't. But it was great. I think I got to be so much more of a movie nerd. It was my job to stand around, check people out, organize and do inventory, and then just read about movies and look at the newest movies and recommend movies that were coming out that we needed to stock when they were available. And gosh, it was really living the like 90s Portland dream in like 2012, 13, 14. I don't know. I forgot to like write down the dates of when all these are. And, you know, my age is mysterious anyway, but so yeah, it was really living the dream. And, you know, I met some really cool people. The few people that I met there that I got along with really well, we became super good friends, and I stayed friends with them throughout other jobs and stuff. But it just became such a fun, simpatico movie nerd sort of group, where there was a group of people who worked at the gym who were just hired to work at the gym. There was a group of people who were hired for the movie store, and they just kind of worked at the movie store, but everybody had to work both sides and pick up shifts that covered both sides. And so that just made it really interesting and fun. And I hated doing the contract thing. The thing that I hated worst about working at a half gym, half movie shop was like, or movie rental place, was that I loved recommending films to people after I got comfortable with it, and talking to people and seeing people and meeting them face to face, and like getting to really know customers and what their tastes were and being able to recommend things. But I'm going to move my microphone. But the thing that I hated the most was having to sell people tans, having to let people tan at the place, the gym, because it was so, I don't know, it was so intense. The people that would come and tan every week, and they have to sign like a little waiver, just like when you buy cigarettes, there's a, you know, tax from the government. There's a tax on tanning that says like, oh, hey, we're taxing you because you're probably going to get cancer from this. And a lot of people didn't understand what that was for, because all they were thinking was like no sun, no health issues, that this is healthier than the sun. And when a few of them would have the courage or like enough curiosity to ask, like, what's the 10% tax for? I would have to put it that exact way and be like, you know how there's a tax on cigarettes? Like, oh yeah. The government knows they're unhealthy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, it's the same with tanning, because it's the same as the sun, and it's a health risk. And I would just have people be like, oh, so you mean I can just like, not that there's much sun in Portland, but oh, I can just go out in the sun and like, you know, it also damages me the same as like tanning. And I'm not going to say I know which is worse or better. You know, I feel like tanning is concentrated. Again, I don't know. I don't tan. It's been a long time since I've worked there, but it's not good for you. And a lot of people thought it was good for you, and that they were just getting their vitamin D and not having to worry about their skin issues. And so that was hard, having to explain that over and over and over again to gym people. And you know what I mean by gym people, not just like regular folks who use the gym, because regular folks who use the gym don't use the little tiny tanning booth in the corner of the gym/video store. So that was the worst part. The best part was that one of the locations was just a video store. It was a huge video store. And gosh, I don't know, the size of like a large loft apartment, like a really big one, like a fancy, nice one. It was all filled with videos, and had been there for I think 20 plus years, and everything had developed around it, but it was still right there. And a lot of the same people who had been coming there for years and years came there, and they'd rent either the same stuff or new stuff, or you'd see them every day or every other day or every week or every other week. And it was just a large variety of people, because it was in a part of Portland that was in the middle of like downtown. That was a really rich area that had a bunch of condos, but then just a few blocks away is more of a downtown party. Not some affordable housing stuff. But then mostly like rich areas, but where people from all over the city come to do their business. And so people rent videos, and I don't know, it was just strange, because I was like the weird little punker working between like a really nice French bakery and a new, the brand new FedEx store and the new microbrewery across the street. And I was just a little video store who had all the little old people who probably had, I don't know if they have rent protection in Portland, don't quote me on this, but had been living there for so many years and probably didn't have their rent go up, or maybe weren't rich enough to have their rent go up. I don't know. But all the people that have been coming there for so long, and then people coming in and going like, wow, I had no idea this existed, and looking around, and younger people coming in and just like really, really digging into the insane amount of movies we had. And so that was fun, because the managers only wanted one person working there. And that includes like no managers, no nothing. So we were working there alone all the time. You got to work there for like 5 to 8 or 10 hour shifts, depending on what you wanted. And then you would just stand there and hang out and close up shop for lunch, and then come back and hang out and rent movies to people. And the downtown group was so strange. The odd rich people that would come and hang out were very strange. And that was like their thing. Like you could tell they just like their brain was fried from work and from being rich. I don't fucking know. Pardon my French. Yeah, and then people that just, we were the only place that had what they wanted, but it wasn't, they never paid us enough to do inventory there, so it would be really hard to find, but it was fun finding things for people. Oh, I really liked it when someone came in and they didn't know what it was they were thinking of, and they needed help finding it or figuring out what the title was. That was probably my favorite. I was good at that game. Like there was this, oh my gosh, there was this like 90s, that's all I can describe her as, like a 90s businesswoman and their little kid who came, and it was like, she would be in her nice like shoulder pad suit and skirt thick pantsuit thing, skirt thing, I don't know, whatever. And her hair would be pulled back super tight with a high ponytail and a big bow. And then she'd have her little son who was like, had this perfect little like blonde bowl haircut with like a little part right here, and was always wearing like a button down shirt and nice trousers. And you could tell they lived somewhere close. And they would come in every Friday and they would rent a different Friends DVD. And they would rent a different season of Friends. And you could see the joy in this child's eyes. Like, I felt like maybe that was the only time he spent with his mother, and they both really liked Friends, and there weren't enough reruns on television for them at the time, apparently. I don't know, but they just loved Friends so much, and you could tell they were just connecting and bonding. And I don't like to put labels on kids, but he was just so happy. He looked so queer, and just his hair was so perfect, and he loved his mother so much in that moment when she was able to just make sure he got the Friends episode that he wanted, and they could sit there, and I imagine they make like little mocktails or something, and hers is real, his isn't, and but it was very cute. And sometimes they would come and someone would have rented the season that they wanted. You could tell they had talked about and maybe looked up online what season they wanted to watch, what episodes they wanted to watch, and if it wasn't in, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what they would do. I can't remember. I feel like I would black out at that point because I would feel so badly for not having what they needed because it was their bonding moment. Let's see. Since it doesn't seem like, you guys want to talk about non-binary, agender stuff? Do you have any personal questions? Feel free down in the comments. I have subscriber-only comments enabled because I feel like it might reduce trolls. I could be wrong. Feel free to unsubscribe after. No hard feelings. I'll tell one more story from the video store before I guess I started talking about gay stuff. Everything I talk about is pretty gay, but this is fun too. Oh no, yeah, I have my ginger beer. It's so tasty. So there was a guy who would come in with his family, and he was always very rude, but he would come in when it was slow. And he was just very dismissive. And I have a feeling that he was, possibly, just raised in a different environment than I was and saw women differently than, most of the men that I interact with on a day-to-day basis. And just sort of treated me flippantly and indifferently, and just sort of acted like he was the most important customer always, no matter what was going on. And so one day I was tired of his stuff, and he came in with his family, and I had a long line at the downtown store where I was the only person working. And he wanted me to check the return bin for a new release that his family wanted to watch. And, I would do this for the nice customers. I would be like, oh, sure, I'll see if anybody returned that. I know I have your name down on the wait list. It was an old-fashioned movie store. And so I was just like, hey, man, you gotta wait your turn. I have a whole line of people, and you can see there isn't anyone else. Don't come to the video store when you're busy. Like, I've got customers. And yeah, I was much nicer than that. I have no ability to do the customer service voice or even pretend anymore. And I could see the flames in his eyes. He got so mad. And I was like, man, he's just going to go to the back of the line though, learn his lesson about how he just needs to wait his turn. Doesn't matter how much money he makes or how long he's been coming to the video store. He waits while staring at me, waits for the whole line to go down, while staring me dead in the face, and I'm trying to ignore him. And he's like also probably around my height. And everyone thinks I'm taller, but I'm about 5'1", maybe a little less, maybe a little more. I haven't measured myself lately. And so he's staring at me. All the people get out. And I'm just like, God, oh God, please let this go easily, very smoothly, so I can go home and like not end up. I don't know, man. I have no idea. And so he comes up and he starts berating me. Oh, and he starts saying terrible things to me. It's, how it's my job to take care of him, and he comes in all the time, and I was extremely rude, and he needed to talk to my manager, and there's no way he should be treated like that ever anywhere, and I'm the worst person in the world, and just being super freaking dramatic. And I was just like, man, I work at a tiny indie video store. You see no managers or coworkers. Do you think I'm gonna like take your rudeness seriously? Like, I have to get my job done. I can't just ignore other people because they'll complain. So I'd rather have you complain to my manager than have these 7 other people that are in line seeing me give into your rudeness complain. And so he keeps berating me, and I'm like, okay, fine. I don't have a manager. He didn't believe. He thought that there was a manager hiding around the store, and he went around the store, and I'm like, there's no manager. I am here alone. Let me call him. No one else is in the store. He waited till absolutely everyone was gone, and his wife and child are like scared standing behind him, which made me really sad. But he was, and I was like, fine, I'll call my manager. And he's like, good, you're going to get in trouble. I'm going to get you fired, all this stuff. And I call, and my manager's like, what's going on? I'm like, hey, you know that guy that's comes out? He's like, yeah, that guy. I'm like, he's saying he wants to talk to a manager. He's like, oh no, I'm not coming down there. Tell him you're going to call the cops. I mean, don't call the cops unless he's like actually threatening you, but just tell him you're going to call the cops and that your manager, gave you permission to or whatever. And then he just hangs up the phone. And so I was like, okay, cool. My manager said I'm just going to call the cops on you because, I am a trustworthy employee. And if I tell him that I'm feeling uncomfortable and intimidated and that you need to speak with him, he's going to trust me, not need to speak with you, and tell me to call the authorities. And the guy got flaming red and was just like, okay, all right, fine. And he ushers his wife and child out of there. And it went as well as it could have because he just was being awful. And so what I did after that was I called around to all the other video stores. There were 2 other locations. And because I knew he was just going to try to go to the other ones now. And I was like, hey, can you block this guy? But make sure I had a plan, I had a smart plan, because I really like to make people feel bad if they're awful to me. I mean, truly awful. Like, I'm not a petty person. Like, he was very mean, said some very mean things that I can't say on this stream. And so I call the other locations. I was like, block this guy, but his wife and kid are going to be with him. If they come in, make sure to tell them that they can come in and that he just has to stand outside. Because we always, in front of the stores, they had these big windows. And so I know he would hate it so much more if they could go to the video store, but his wife and kid got to go inside and pick the movies, and he had to stand outside and watch them through the glass and stare at the workers through the glass who knew he had verbally abused me. And so in the end, it was really nice because that happened multiple times when I was working, and he knew better than to come in because I threatened to call the cops because he was so mean. And his wife and child were so nice to me when they checked out. They were always so nice, and they'd ask me for recommendations, and they'd tell me how nice I looked, and like, oh my gosh. So that was, one for me at the video store. And that's that. That's the last question. That's the last story I have about the video store for now. Hi, I'm just seeing more messages. Hello from Beverly Hills. Hi from Monterey Bay. Let's see. Yeah, I'm probably gonna stay on for like a couple, maybe like 15, 20 more minutes. And then if more people start to show up, I'll stay on longer. But I think, let's see. I'm going to look at what Quora questions I've answered lately that have to do with, pardon me, gender identity. And I'm also going to repost about this on my social networking. All of it's linked in my bio if you want to follow me and stuff. Let's see here. It's not hard to find all my social networking stuff and other stuff online if you just look up my name. Let's see. Okay, so let's start with the non-binary stuff. For those of you who might not follow me or know who I am, I'm a sex worker. I do all different types of stuff, which I won't get into here. And I am non-binary or agender. Non-binary can be an umbrella term. Under that umbrella, I'm agender. I don't have a gender. I don't have gender feels. I can present more masculine or more feminine to one day, whatever. That's my presentation. I'm androgynous, but my feelings, how I am, don't really change. So agender is a good description. I don't feel anything when it comes to gender. Anyway, so I get a lot of questions, and I see a lot of questions on Quora about what you can and can't do, or what you can and can't be as a non-binary person. What makes one more non-binary? Is it okay if I do this? Can I still consider myself non-binary? And most of the answers to those questions is like, yes, that's fine. That's totally fine. It's all fine. And I think a lot of people overthink things sometimes when it comes to their own identity, because you're doing so much introspection and you're looking at yourself through a microscope, and maybe you're not interacting with other people, and maybe feeling your identity. You're more, not that you need to interact with other people to feel your identity, but for a lot of people, it's, they get really, really caught up in just focusing on who they are and labeling themselves and what they feel when they maybe aren't in situations where they're having the emotions to where they can like suss them out and decide how they feel, because they're just not interacting with other people. And so when you get so introspective and so, start looking at yourself so closely with a microscope, sometimes I feel like people can overanalyze themselves. And when it comes down to it, you can do what you want. It's fine if you feel like you maybe are non-binary or agender and you just want to try it out. That's great. I think one of the things people ask is, well, can I be non-binary, or can I not have a gender, or can I be somewhere along the spectrum but present differently from day to day? Or sometimes I feel like I dress like this, or I dress this way, or I present this way, and it's like, yes, that's you're still non-binary. It's fine if that's what you feel, if that's what you want to be, if that's where you feel like home is for you, then that's great. You can do that. You can. And exploring being non-binary doesn't just mean exploring being androgynous. For some people, it means exploring being androgynous. For me, it was getting used to and feeling and leaning into who I was and feeling androgynous, regardless of if I had long or short hair, if I was wearing a skirt or pants. I think I described it to my partner as like, yeah, I guess if I was born, because I was assigned female at birth, and if I was born, assigned male at birth, I don't think I would dress any different. I don't think I would be any different. I don't think I would like sparkles any less, or I would like glittery, colorful nails any less. Like, I think I would be the same. And that sort of led me down the road of just like, okay, so this is who I am. I don't feel either male or female. So But it does, so that's fine. No matter how I am, I don't feel gender. I don't feel more of one gender or one or the other. If I have short hair, long hair, makeup, no makeup, stuff like that. It's just, it's all about, how I feel comfortable and how I, feel most comfortable living in my own skin. But yeah, I think a lot of people, they're like, I have to try to be this or I have to try to be that. Since I feel it on the inside, I have to try really, really hard. And it's like, just relax and, give yourself time. It takes time to figure out who you are and to make moves to become more of who you are, because it just takes experience. It takes experiences who you are and to figure out, what's going on in here. And so just give yourself time, because you have all the time in the world. You don't have to label yourself immediately or be, only this and never change from this. Like, you can change genders, you can change sexualities, you can be flexible. All those things are just fine. Like I see people worrying all the time about, well, I, came out as gay to my friends, but now I think I might be bi and I'm really embarrassed. And it's like, don't be embarrassed. You're open-minded enough and listen to yourself enough that you're being honest. A lot of people can't be honest with themselves, and you're being extremely honest. Even if being honest with yourself means stuff changes from day to day and you're really uncertain about stuff. It's being it's being honest. That's what counts. It's so, be flexible, be fluid, even if that doesn't mean you're permanently fluid. Just leave yourself open to different opportunities and different, experiences, because you only have one life. And boxing yourself in immediately, if you don't feel comfortable with doing that, or labeling yourself immediately when you're uncertain about it, doesn't need to happen. Let's see. What else? Yeah, mostly just see people saying like, hey, can I still be like agender, but I like mostly presenting female. And honestly, what really helped me when it came down to just sort of stepping aside, stepping away from the gender binary, I had to just be like, okay, if I'm wearing a dress, it's not a girly dress. It's not a girly thing. It's not a girl thing. It's just me, who is a gender, who's wearing a dress. And sure, some people might label that as feminine, but I don't have to. And the people that I know and the people I interact with, or that I choose to interact with, or my chosen family, don't have to. And they know it's not, oh, well, you're feeling more feminine today, so you're wearing a dress. It's like, no, I like how this dress looks, so I'm wearing it, It's that's really it. I think people just stress so much, and there's so much pressure on just like, oh my gosh, once you find out you're queer, or once you find out, you have, you may not be the gender that you were assigned at birth, they're like, you have to figure it out right at that moment. And it's like, no, give yourself time, have more experiences, and just, practice self-love and patience and lots of self-care, and find good people. That's really what was the best thing for me, was finding good people, making good connections online and in person, making sure I, dated, when I was dating queer people and not just getting stuck in the same cycles of dating straight, cis dudes, and I had to make sure that I was like exploring my options and doing what was making me feel the best, and not just doing what became sort of just a compulsion over years, which was just, fooling around with dudes. And that was that. It was just, oh, well, I like queer people and queer people like me, but like, I don't have the confidence, or I don't have that. No. Like, I'm queer. I can interact with other queer people. I'm open and out. And when you're open and out of the closet and interacting with other people who are open and out, it's such a different experience than being surrounded by straight people, but all the time, but you have to like actively put yourself in those spaces. I think that's really difficult for a lot of people, because they sort of are completely surrounded or submerged in this, life of, what people expected for them, or what they thought they should do, and so instead of what they wanted to do. And so you have to make active steps towards being yourself and trying new things and exploring new identities, because if you don't, then you're just going to spend the rest of your life doing the same thing over and over and over again. So let's see, there's still only about 6 people in here, which is totally cool. I think I am going to end it here though, because I've been talking for a while and people aren't really asking questions and stuff. I'm really happy with how this video turned out. I like my new lighting set. Thank you so much for showing up so I wasn't just talking to myself. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I come out with stuff fairly frequently. I'm trying to make my YouTube channel an actual thing. Yep. I think my computer's about to freeze, so who knows what's actually going to happen right now.